So let's start with Mr. Larry Olayinka, who is the SSA Publicity and Communications to the FCT Minister. He was on channels and he had this to say. Take a listen, please.
Let's go back to how we got to that level. That particular land was allocated to a company in 2007, Santos Estate Limited, for park and recreation. Let me say this again. Allocated in 2007 for park and recreation. The company did not do anything on the land because that place is a parkway, is a walkway, is a road corridor. You don't build there. Then in 2022, the company wrote to the FCTA, the minister, oh, I want approval from you to convert the purpose to commercial. From park to build park. You know what park is, a recreation, not permanent structures. Probably in anticipation of the minister's approval for conversion, the man decided to partition the land, a land allocated to him for park and recreation. He now partitioned the land and sold to people, including the former chief of naval staff. And that is why I want to say here that the former chief of naval staff was scammed. He was scammed. And he has realized that he was scammed. Instead of him to now come out and seek help, he resorted to use military might. Now, in 2022, the minister of FCT declined that request, did not grant the request for change of land use made by that company. That was where it ended. But he had already sold the land to people, giving them the impression that the land use will change. Wike was not the minister then.
In 2022,
Wike was not the minister. Now, after selling land allocated to you for park and recreation, for people to build house, who should the former chief of naval staff go and hold? The person who scammed him or the government? He chose not to hold the person who scammed him, the company who scammed him. Now again, that particular portion has now been redesignated for the purpose of, if you know Abuja very well, you know how Babushi is. That is where you have Ministry of Works, Environment. That portion of the land, that parkway, is for public buildings and corporate buildings, not residential. Meaning that you cannot build residential house there. That is one. So as of today, Vice Admiral Gambo does not have a document, a title document, showing that he owns the land. He does not own the land. Now, assuming we're not considering that he has title documents and he owns the land, before you begin development of a land, there are processes you must pass through. One of such processes is to have a building plan. Building plan showing what you want to put on the land. And you take your building plan to the development control. See, you take your building plan to development control. The question Nigerians should ask Vice Admiral Gambo is, did he take the building plan on that land to development control, and the development control approve the building plan?
All right, that was the SSA to the Minister of FCT. His name is Mr. Larry Olayinka, speaking about what happened and the issue itself, which has to do with the land and the purpose of the land according to the designation of the Federal Capital Territory. But he has spoken for his principal, but I think we should listen to the principal himself. Here is the Minister of the FCT, Barrister Nyesom Wike. He had a press release. This is actually more than a press release, more like a press conference on this matter. Please take a listen to the man.
Government officials have been attacked. Government officials have been beaten up. Government officials to the level of directorship. Then I'm sitting in my office doing what? How will such officials carry out their functions again when they know that their principal or their boss cannot protect them? Not as private individuals, as government officials. So many people have had problems. Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, former general, former head of state, former president, he will call me on phone. Minister, I look good at this problem of land here. Please carry. I will solve the problem. That is former head of state, former elected president. We have the courtesy of calling the minister. Look, I have this problem. I have this problem. See how you can look into it. Janati Wadanjuma will call you. Look, that is this like this. These are people who, they are all retired generals. These are people with constant discipline. They didn't bother because they were former chief of officer. They were former president. They never sent soldiers. They never sent anybody to go and attack anybody. They just call you. And respect the guys. Respect. Have to respect. And I'll tell them, sir, don't worry. I will sort out the problem. And I will do. I won't even talk about other people who are highly placed. They will come to you. Mr. Minister, maybe we didn't know of this. If we knew, we would have done it like this. When a serving Major General attacked the development control, I wrote a letter. The President Chief of Defense Staff was Chief of Army Staff then. I wrote a letter, sir. Because that is a serving military officer. That if anything goes wrong, he's still under the authority, under the control of the military. When I came on board, before them, President Jonathan had awarded a contract to develop another city, which was close to the military, but awarded a contract, not me. A Federal Council presided over by the CNC. Awarded. The contractor went there, he was just away. I wrote a letter. We met. The late Chief of Army Staff, Alabangi, was there. The former Chief of Defense Staff was there. These same ministers of defense, they were all there. We all met. I said, look, it is not good, this government and government. I mean, it's not, let's see how we can resolve this matter. I never one day, I respect institutions. And I know what it takes. Even as a governor, nobody no governor will say that they supported the military that more than me. So I know. But how do you see a private individual knowing fully well that you are against the law? It is not military versus government. No. If it was military, I would have written to them that, look, military, why are you doing this? This is a private individual. Land was not allocated to him. Land was allocated to a company called Santos in 2007 for parks and recreation. They applied to the former minister for change of use. The minister refused. The man went, started selling land. Maybe the former chief of staff fell into their scam, sold. This government property is not your property. If government officials came to say, look, what are you doing here now? This is not, government has sat under the ministerial committee and taken back every land under parks and even under secretariat, because we felt that there are a lot of delays, suits, litigations. We said, no, we won't continue with that. You send this website beating government officials, not private, but government officials, beating them. Senior government officials, you were beaten. You couldn't even say, okay, let me get to the minister. See how he can help us, No, not tolerant. Simply because you had a relationship with the military. And government cannot enforce laws because you are attached or you had a relationship with a particular institution, or you come from a particular place. Who does that? Who does such thing? How will this country progress?
All right, I know that was long, but I wanted us to listen to the old stuff, because one of the things I've noticed with social media is people caught with media generally, because one happened in the UK the other day. People will caught a bit of it and then they'll push that narrative. I mean, I think what I said 2 days ago is the same thing I'm going to say. Converting the land to another purpose apart from that which it was designated for was wrong. UK should have called in the fool. They should settle it and let everybody rest. And military should understand the fact that this is civilian era. This is not a time where we say power, might is right. Might is not always right. It's a civilian government. May we never go back to the days of, military in Nigeria. And the military, they're important, but they have their own purpose, right? And want it to be that way. May God bless Nigeria. All right. So a few news items before I play a couple more videos and then we'll get into the topic. Senior lawyers weighing on Wike's clash with naval officer over Abuja land dispute. I'm reading from Premium Times. So senior advocates of Nigeria Sands, Femi Falana and Sebastian Hon have weighed in on the recent public clash between Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory (FCT), and a naval officer in Abuja. The dispute centered on the plot in the Gadua district where armed naval personnel led by a commissioned junior officer A.M. Yerima were stationed. Let me just go straight to what they said. Falana's mixed reaction. Speaking at an event at the University of Abuja on Thursday, Mr. Falana criticized both the minister's public outburst and the conduct of the military officers. He said no public official has the right to insult any Nigerian, urging President Bola Tinubu to direct Mr. Wike to apologize. Quote, the president must direct the minister to apologize. That is what is done in civilized societies, unquote. He said, recalling a similar incident in Ghana where a deputy minister was compelled to withdraw offensive remarks. Mr. Falana, however, faulted the obstruction of the minister, saying the officers acted beyond their powers. He cited Section 11 of the Land Use Act, which authorizes governors and the FCT minister to enter, inspect and manage land within their jurisdiction. The minister was performing his statutory duty. Any occupier of land must allow the minister or governor to enter and inspect the property, he said. He stressed that the proper remedy, if Mr. Wike felt obstructed, would have been to seek redress through legal channels, not through confrontation. Mr. Falana also dismissed suggestions that insulting a uniform officer constituted a national security threat. All right. I laughed because some people, were, making a case out of that. Okay, so this is on. In a separate statement on Facebook on Wednesday, Mr. On said the naval officer's action was unconstitutional, arguing that no military regulation permits the deployment of soldiers to guard a private construction site on behalf of a retired officer. He said the he said the Supreme Court in Onunze versus State 2023 and Nigeria Air Force versus James 2002 had reaffirmed that military personnel must not obey illegal orders. Quote, the duty of a junior officer to obey the orders of a superior has its limitations recognized by the Supreme Court. End of quote. He stated, quoting the judgment. Mr. Hon added that the FCT minister, by virtue of sections 297, subsection 2 and 302 of the Constitution, exercises delegated presidential authority over land in Abuja and therefore could not lawfully be barred from entering the property. He argued that the officer could be liable under section 114 of the Armed Forces Act for obstructing a public officer from performing his duties. Mr. On cautioned against celebrating the confrontation simply because of personal dislike for Mr. Wike, saying such conduct by uniformed personnel, if unchecked, could embolden abuses against civilians. Which reminds me, when some people were saying, "Oh, this is boldness." I don't know. I mean, if a minister could be stopped from getting access, even though he has the right to be there, what do you think would happen to you, a regular citizen, a common man? Also, when people celebrate, I think it's more poverty of the mind than anything else. People like seeing another person suffer or being powerless, just like they are, because somehow it makes them feel comfortable in their powerlessness. So they don't really care until it affects them. They don't really care about it. And then maybe they don't like Wike, for instance. I mean, Wike, of course, is not the most liked person in Nigerian politics at the moment. But it's beyond him. It's like the person is what he's doing is, it's not according to the law. And Ades is right. He says, now flogging civilians go chop when they treat a minister like that. That's the point. And if you were here, I mean, a lot of us, I'm sure you were around, before 99. You know how when you're driving, many cars, you will see Koboko in front. On my share anybody anyhow, the driver my park anyhow, tawai. Because you are assumed to be less than humans, bloody civilians. So I think that balance is what I see in what the two legal luminaries have said, that yes, you shouldn't have said, you should have insulted him, that was wrong. But at the same time, this is a civilian area. This is not the time where soldiers just deploy people anyhow and say we keep off military. It's private property. This is not cantonment or barracks. So it's good to have this balance. And as well, I hope the minister also apologizes for calling the man what he called him, because that was totally unnecessary.